Are you
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello. Well, did you not realize? You didn't realise what you did there, Ian. You hit the short trailer.
Oh no! What are we going to do?
So good evening, everybody. We've now got an extra 5 minutes to fill.
Oh my! Well, we can't really do it now because there'll be people who don't come along till the right time. What is going on?
You're what's going on?
No, we got another 4 minutes to fill. Let's fill 4 minutes with 4 minutes of comedy.
Yeah, well, Paul Fraser Benison said, "For that, I just smashed the like button."
Thank you. Right, that's a good point. We can spend 4 minutes asking you people to hit that like button, and if you're watching on catch up and you go,
the ironic thing is as we were all in the metaphorical green room with Darren Lewington chatting, and Darren saw us sorting some technical things, and he said, "Wow, there really are some production values," and we hear that actually they can be thrown completely out the window.
How did that actually? What happened there then? Oh,
I think Dan Smith had a good idea there, actually.
Darren Heretiques.
Run the flyer ad.
He said, I was briefly impressed.
That's a good idea. We could run the flyer out.
Start how you mean to go on. So
this is a new one, isn't it?
Colin Wilkinson said, "Did I miss the start?" You and us all both.
What we could do is we could have a bit of a nostalgia time, bit of a blast from the past. Who remembers this?
That's about the worst blast from the past you could have had.
You think?
I can think of a worse one for Ed.
I haven't got time to worry about my hair. I just want to feel good about the way I look.
New L'Oreal Elvive Nutri-Vitamin Shampoo for men.
Yeah, I should have guessed that would have happened.
Yeah.
If you're going to complain about it.
I know. Horace Gonzalez says, "Just get on with it."
We can't just get on with it.
New viewer to us. Welcome.
Don't panic! Don't panic! Don't panic!
You're stealing the brew prep time. Sorry, Paul.
We're not stealing it. You can go make your brew, Paul. It's okay. We're not going to start the news until we're dead on 9:30.
Meanwhile, in the green room, Darren says, "I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here."
Well, looking at the green room, he appears to be guzzling a bottle of Moe.
I was going to say, that looks like, well, whatever. It looks like. Right, yeah. So anyway, there you go.
Annabelle says, "Dave, did you get your hair done?"
I have had a haircut. Yep. This is my summer racing haircut.
Summer racing haircut. Yeah. Well, I've just had a warning from my internal system to say that don't forget live stream starts in 1 minute.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh man, I'm
just going to do now. We're going to run the
I don't know. Should we run the short trailer again?
Have we got a minute to go? Yeah, let's run the short trailer again. Where is? I can't even find the short trailer.
Now you say that.
Here you go.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hey, hello again, everybody. It's great to see you. Haven't seen you for bloody ages. Welcome to Thursday night's live stream where I know. Well, they'll just have to watch it back on playback, won't they, to see what happened. A mystery. Maybe we've discovered the mystery to making it even more interesting than it is, although I don't know. But, yep, you're right. Okay, what have we got for you tonight? We got loads. We got new runways. We've got the almost weekly yawn of yet more freaking hydrogen and electric aircraft, which is just like so difficult to get excited about that kind of stuff. Me personally, houses for sale. That's a good one for Fantasy Hangar, which we'll talk about later, and all sorts of things, including the CEA is finally getting demolished, apparently, allegedly. Anyway, I need to say a huge thank you, obviously, to SkyDemon for supporting us. Thank you very much, SkyDemon. They do it for the high production values, clearly. And here is your weekly tip.
Hi, I'm Hannah from SkyDemon, and this is this week's top tip. For most European countries, SkyDemon gives you access to AIP plates and some third-party flight guides, with visual approach charts and aerodrome charts that are geo-referenced, which means they can be overlaid directly on the map during your flight. You'll find these in the Airfields tab. This blue button here indicates that the plate is geo-referenced. Tap it, and the plate will appear on the map like this, with your route and aircraft symbol overlaid. There is also a setting to allow georeference plates to be overlaid automatically. Go to Setup, Navigation Options, Automatically Show Georeference Plates. The plate will pop up when you fly in its vicinity, as long as you downloaded it before you set off. For more information, go to our website, skydemon.aero.
I'm always intrigued by georeference plates. I once sat alongside someone who flew an instrument approach using a georeference plate, literally flying their aeroplane around the georeference plate. It was quite interesting.
Wow.
I hope that wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you, and I will never identify that person, but it was an interesting experience. Dan Smith says, if I ever inherit Murdoch's media empire, this is the new format for current affairs.
Here's a question for you that you can reply to in the comments or in the comments either live or unlive. We've been wondering about news and the way this transitions. Do you think we should do we should have more, not on a live stream, but more regular little video news snippets as opposed to stuff on the web? Just a question. I mean, we do both, obviously. But.
Another question we can ponder is, what's the weather going to be doing? It's been very cold and very damp. And so what have the days got in store for us? Let's hear from our weather wizard.
I was a little bit discombobulated because I couldn't find the file from Simon. And I was going, Simon, where's the file? Where's the file? So fortunately, that kind of threw me off. That's my excuse. Anyway, here's the weather wizard.
Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Sorry I can't be with you live this evening, but I've got the forecast for you anyway. Now, what I've done today is taken the fronts off the charts because I think they are complicating things a little bit. So I'm just going to run you through here the forecast charts which show pressure, cloud and rain. Now the cloud is the white colours, so where you see white, that's full cloud cover. Where you see black, that's clear skies. And then we've got the rain on there as well, which is essentially forecast radar. The isobars are in 4 hectopascal intervals, which is standard cross charts, so you'll see how close together they are. So we'll kick off with Friday. Lots of cloud around, as you can see through Friday. Wet across much of Scotland, across much of Western Ireland, western parts of England. Low cloud, bits of drizzle, strong southwesterly winds across the west of England and Wales. Bases below 1,000 feet in places. Tops are going to be up at about 15,000 feet with that rain in the west. And you'll notice through the course of the morning and into the afternoon that more persistent rain in the west gradually moving in. Eastern areas actually do start to improve a little bit, so perhaps Eastern Midlands, East Anglia, southeastern parts of England during the afternoon ahead of that rain band may actually get better. Western Scotland, Ireland getting better as well, and if anything the winds tending to ease a little bit as we get into the afternoon. Doesn't help anybody, though, if you're out further west. Now, through the course of the night into Saturday, rain clears away from southeast England. Still a little bit left around at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning across the far east of East Anglia and southeast England. But notice elsewhere how much drier it's becoming. A few heavy showers, western parts of Scotland, but generally we are going to be kicking off the day bright with VFR conditions for most. And then as we go through the afternoon on Saturday, rain clearing away from the southeast, 1 or 2 showers affecting western coasts and hills. But for most of us, it is going to get a great big tick because we go into VFR conditions, 4,000 foot bases. Tops coming in at around 6,000 to 8,000 feet. Notice that the cloud already increasing across Ireland, and that sets us up for more gales coming in for the west overnight into Sunday. May just be verifiable in East Anglia, the East Midlands, South East England. Gusts of 20 to 25 knots early on Sunday morning, but this massive rain coming in from the west. Severe gales ensuing as well, and that rain pushing its way eastwards during the course of the day. Gusts of 40 to 50 knots, particularly across western coast and hills. Heavy showers following it into western Scotland and western Ireland later on, but it is going to be staying windy. So, pick of the weekend, it's got to be Saturday, hasn't it? Now, if you want to know more about whether get yourself booked into Aviation Weather School at weatherschool.co.uk. My next course is an evening course. It's going to be presented live online by me on the consecutive Tuesday evenings of the 18th and 25th of March between 6:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. And that's the course where I will show you what you really need to know about weather. I'll get you forecasting better yourself. I'll get you spotting weather windows 5 days in advance, and I'll just make you feel overall more confident about trusting that forecast that you see. So get to weatherschool.co.uk, book your place now. And on that, I will leave you with that. Have a great weekend. Have a great safe flying weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Excellent.
Well, apart from Saturday, that basically looks pants, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, luckily, I've got loads of things to do in the hangar on the Cub. So,
I think I'm going to try and drag the airplane out and go flying on Saturday. I don't know where I'm going to go, but
Wolverhampton.
yeah,
And I'll tell you why now.
tell us why, Johnny.
oh, that was slick, Johnny. That was.
It's as though we planned that, but we genuinely didn't. So Wolverhampton, Halfpenny Green has finished their planned upgrades, not just to the runway, but there are lots more. So that included runway resurfacing. All 3 runways being relaid to improve the quality and safety. All of this is being done for, as they term it, for safety and improving GA. The parking apron's been expanded, which is now just in front of them to the right-hand side of the tower and cafe. It's been doubled in size to 55,000 square feet, so tons more room for parking aeroplanes. The fuel bay apparently has been or is still being overhauled. That's with updated pumps, new concrete surface. That's for visiting and resident aircraft, obviously, and then LED lighting to enhance visibility for daytime night ops as well, and as well as reducing energy consumption, because we all know how terrible incandescent bulbs are. And the airfield told us back in December that the improvements are necessary to ensure the airfield remains safe, functional, and able to meet the needs of GA into the future. And so that is a really good thing to have an airfield, fresh runways, new parking, new cafe.
Yeah, that's got a good reputation, the restaurant stroke cafe there, hasn't it, as well?
Yeah. And clearly, they're not going to build houses on it any time either.
I know.
Anytime soon.
Apparently, they accept overhead joins and more than 2 in the circuit. I don't quite know what he's referring to there, but we'll find out about it a bit later.
Yeah. Anyway, they are open and accepting visitors, but they say do please read the NOTAMs, because I think there are a few lingering things that you need to just be aware of. And we don't know if the Havilland Vampires are banned still or not. maybe they are.
I don't think a vampire's going to do any harm to that runway, is it?
No, definitely not. And in other airfield news, the fate of Old Sarum will be decided from today. Well, starting today, the planning appeal starts today. Wiltshire County Council's their decision to refuse the scheme in August was appealed in October, and this is all taking place at a pub in Salisbury, apparently, the Red Lion Hotel. It's going to last 6 days, and there's going to be a site visit to the airfield on Monday. And the Salisbury Journal have been doing a live, almost live tweeting it today as things happen and people say this and that. And so if you want the detail of what's going on, it's all out there on the internet for you.
Is it like a microcosm of the Trump-Zelensky negotiation?
I feel maybe comparing the Trump-Zelensky conversation to the old Serum planning appeal.
Stretch too far?
No, I think it's probably worse than that, actually.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway,
Dave.
So my story. So so Zero Avia, you may know, is developing a hydrogen electric power unit. They call it the ZA600, and it's for use in small regional airliners. And they claim they've got 2,000 pre-orders, but it's a little way off yet. And meanwhile, it's offering the electric motor element of the package as a standalone product. And the first user, apparently, is going to be an American company called Jet Cruiser. The Jet Cruiser 500, as they call it, is based on a 1980s, 1990s aircraft that looks a bit like a big Rutan Veries, as you can see here, not quite as nice. It's a 6-seater. It has been through parts of the type certification process, but it never made it into production. It's been revived by a chap called Victor Teo, who has acquired the rights to the aircraft. And the company is now called Jet Cruiser International, of course. And they're already actually flying a conventionally powered aircraft prototype from their California base. Now, they're flying a conventionally powered prototype, which is based on the one that's already has a type certificate. But now they're looking to install an electric motor probably because they think there's more investment available if they can become sustainable, as they call it. There's little detail so far, very little detail. So, such as where is the electricity going to come from to power the electric motor? They're not taking the hydrogen fuel cell part of it. So maybe they're having batteries. Maybe they're having an internal combustion engine providing it. Who knows? Anyway, we'll find out. Apparently,
I have to say that was I would not have put money on someone going, "Hey, let's bring the Jet Cruiser back from the dead."
No.
Did you say the bloke's name was what? Victor what?
Victor Teo.
I thought you said Victor Krayam. The one,
No.
I liked it so much, I bought the company.
It's a Zero Avia hydrogen-powered Razor.
Yep. So, along the same vein is an Australian project, which of course is called Stralis. Sorry about that. So anyway, it's called Stralis. It's got a similar plan to Zero Avia to develop a hydrogen fuel cell to power an electric motor. But Stralis says the difference is they are developing something called a high-temperature proton exchange membrane, which apparently is more efficient, and powerful than low temperature fuel cells. I have to say, I'm not qualified to comment on that. I can't say any more about that. Anyway, their plan is similar to Zero Avia. They're starting with a GA aircraft, in this case, a Beech Bonanza, and then they plan to progress up to a Beech 1900D regional airliner, and then a clean sheet aircraft. So far, they have 2 Bonanzas. The one you saw in the mock-up picture there is called Bonnie, and this one here, which is the ground test vehicle aircraft, is called Clyde, Bonnie and Clyde.
Something missing
after a couple of thieves. Make of that what you will. The Clyde, the ground test unit, has spun the propeller, apparently, in December last year. They say for Bonnie, the planned flying aircraft, they say late 2025 for the first flight. And Stralis are seeking expressions of interest, it's a business term, from the Bonanza community, wondering whether there's anybody who wants an upgrade of their aircraft to become hydrogen electric. It does take up an awful big chunk of the aircraft.
It basically turns an A36 Bonanza, which is one of the most useful load-carrying airplanes, into what looks like a 2-seat airplane, doesn't it?
It does, yes, yeah.
What was this technology again? I think you need to describe. What was it?
They call it PEM, proton exchange membrane, which sounds like it came straight out of Star Trek to me. But anyway,
it does. Coming next week, it'll be someone fitting a flux capacitor.
I couldn't possibly comment on that.
Yeah. I mean, I want to meet Victor, because like for Victor to have gone in and invested and bought something like the jet cruiser back. I mean, you look at it, that is like, you said 1980s. That's got to be 1970s, hasn't it, at least?
No, I seem to remember it came out after the Starship. You know, when canards were cool. So
but they're not anymore. And I don't know. I want to meet him because I just find it fascinating when there are some people who just have unbelievably inexhaustible amounts of enthusiasm and positivity for something that I tend to look at and go, oh man, just leave it as it was. Just let it.
I love to think that people come into aviation sometimes with no experience of it and find a project like that, and they have this moment where it's like they open a trunk and it's full of, you know, this gold shimmer shines up, and it's like, this is my new world.
I reckon if this live stream was powered by hydrogen, we could probably farm a couple of million grants somewhere.
Yeah, Katkin says we need one with a turbo encabulator.
Yeah, absolutely. That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Anyway, onto more, well, certainly more current and realistic things. How about a dream aviation house? If you might have seen this doing the rounds on the internet, it's definitely an addition to Flyer's incredibly short list of dream aviation houses. It's a contemporary style barn conversion, plus critically an airstrip and 2 hangars at Piltdown near Uckfield in East Sussex. It's on the market with Savills, 5-bedroom, stunning countryside, 20 acres, including a runway which has got lights for night landings. Road access is via a private lane to a gravel driveway and includes a garden and a paddock. And the strip's around about 950 metres long, which is big. And what's amazing is 20 acres in this area in East Sussex comes in at just 1.5 million, I think.
1.5 million. That's an incredible price for that area.
That is really good value. And if you're feeling like that is for you, then I've put a link in the comments to our story, which will take you straight to the Savills website, and you can hit buy it now.
It's not on eBay.
I think the strip sounds great, the lights sound great, and all the rest of it. But the house is not really doing it for me.
No, well, talking of other aviation houses, something that might do it for you is news that Aviation House at the CIA is due to be demolished.
Absolutely, that does do it for me.
Or maybe not. Maybe I made that last bit up.
I heard that they're going to demolish it because otherwise it was too expensive to refurb. By the time they stripped out all of the gold plating foundries that were installed on everything.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just seen. You have to bring this comment up now. It's so good.
Which one's that?
It's the Flying Professor.
This one, the proton Joe.
Yeah.
Two hydrogen atoms walking down the street. Suddenly one stops. My God, I've just lost an electron. Are you sure? Yes, I'm positive.
I did A-level physics. It appeals to me.
Wow.
Ian, tell us about charts.
Well, this is just a bit of an aside, really. There's a new CA chart that's due out today, but what kind of shocked me was they now cost £23.99. I mean, that's a lot of money, isn't it? Well, I think it's a lot of money, particularly as
for a big sheet of paper. Yes,
for a big sheet of paper. I haven't bought one for ages and ages, and certainly in probably years. I can't remember how long ago. It's much easier just to use SkyDemon. But certainly in the States, a whole load of paper products have just like been taken away and discontinued and stuff like that. And I at some point, the CA chart, I suspect, will go the same way. And then everyone will have to rush and
did I think we were discussing this in the Sky Street. Was it Sky Street or maybe it was something else? But you were saying that the boatists have got rid of all the paper charts. And they've just gone, well, we'll just rewrite all the training syllabuses around that to reflect this modern progress.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Hands up if you're still a hardened chart user, as it were. Not hardened.
Right in the comments, I love charts.
Dave, I'm not surprised.
I'd just like to confirm, exactly what's going on.
Yeah, me too, which is why I prefer looking at it at a moving map screen that's linked to a GPS. You can actually see what's going on.
Yeah. Very quickly touching on the jet cruiser thing, Nigel Hitchman says maybe their next project, the next Zero Avia project, they'll be powering up that Avtech 400 that Johnny had in Fancy Hangar a while ago. That would be brilliant.
That would be great.
Now, that would be hydrogen power.
Just a quick one on the new chart that came out today. That includes the new Northwest Transit Corridor, which is going to be the subject of our ATC expert, Darren Lewington, who's waiting in the green room as we speak. He's going to tell us everything you need to know about the Northwest Transit Corridor. And then 10 seconds after that, because that's about all it's going to take, we'll be able to talk. He'll give us the 3 things that pilot gets wrong. And then I've had an email from his wife, and I can give you the 3 things that Darren gets wrong. I haven't had the email from his wife yet. So, Kim, hurry up. Right, what else have we got here?
There's we've had the gamma numbers for 2020, the results of the gamma numbers for 2024, and apparently GA aircraft sales and deliveries are in a healthy state of growth according to their annual report, and nearly all aircraft segments saw increases over 2023, and the total value of reported aircraft deliveries 31.2 billion, which is an increase of 13.3%. Which is really good news. Fixed-wing aircraft shipments in 2024 compared to 2023 saw piston aircraft increase by 4.2%. That's with 1,772 units. Turboprops were slightly down. Business jets were slightly up, 4.7%. So that's all good. But critically, I can give you the winners and losers because Dave ran some numbers. Unsurprisingly, Cirrus, winners, 731 aircraft delivered. That's up 23 over the previous year. Cubcrafters, 87 aircraft delivered, up 18.
How many? 87?
87 aircraft delivered, which is 18 more than the previous year. So imagine that, Ian. That could be your nightmare of 87 nose-wheel NX Cubs delivered to happy customers.
I think every time there's an NX Cub that's born and delivered, the average attractiveness of the world's aircraft fleet drops just a little bit.
Yes. Daya, obviously selling the TBM and the Kodiak. They were up 8 aircraft with 82. Who do you think might have been some of the losers? Well, surprise, Diamond, 252, down 21. Pipistrel, 91 aircraft sold, 21 down. And Textron, a big loser, 559 sold, which is down 59 for them. And their bestseller, the Skyhawk, sold 16 aeroplanes less than previously. Piper, up 291, up 46 aeroplanes. So
see that Piper Cadet 100i or whatever it is they call it. I can't remember.
That's sold a lot.
That is basically you can't buy that from a dealer. They've cut as much profit out of it as they possibly can, and you can only buy it direct from the factory. But that seems to be doing really well in the training market, and I think that's probably hit the 172 market quite hard. And elsewhere, I'm doing some work at the moment on a video, an upcoming video around aircraft engines and how they're getting harder to get and cost a lot more. And I'm trying to engage with Lycoming on it, who are being pretty much appalling, frankly.
It sounds like your game with them is a bit like whack-a-mole, but when no moles actually pop up.
Well, first of all, they went, no, we can't provide anybody for a video interview. And then they went, but we'll send you a statement. And then we'll get you a timeline for the statement. And then they ignored a few emails. And then I asked them if there was a timeline for the timeline on the statement. And apparently there is no timeline on the statement. So they, let alone, no wonder they can't produce an engine if they can't even produce a freaking statement. And you kind of wonder what they got to hide. I don't know.
Right.
Weird.
Should we move on quickly?
Ian, tell us about BA applications.
Oh yeah, just a quick one. If the British Airways Pilot Academy scheme is open, they are committing to pay for the training of 200 people this year in the 2025 scheme. So, but if you want to apply, you need to get online and apply by tomorrow at midnight. Go to the website. You can actually download some of the questions. The BA website, that is. You can download some of the questions not the real questions, but examples of the questions, so you can see what you're going to have to answer in the assessment. But effectively, it's a brilliant scheme because basically they just pay for all of your training, your medical, your food, your accommodation. You choose between two schools, which is basically FTE in Hereth and Skyborne in Gloucester. And at the end of it, you get a job with BA. It's fantastic. We did a quick interview with Lucy Sylvester, who's BA's pilot recruitment manager, and I think Ed's probably going to hopefully stick a link to that in the chat if you want to go and see that. That should be at the top of the running sheet.
I can do that. That's in there now.
You have to get your entry in, your application done by tomorrow at midnight. So get a wiggle on. But frankly, that's probably going to say if you get through and you succeed, not only is that pretty much a guaranteed job with BA at the end of it, but it's going to save you more than 100 grand anyway. So get going if you're super motivated.
There you go.
There you go.
The phobic flyer says this, and to be fair, this is an older comment from earlier in the show. So don't rush.
Even more desperate for Darren now. Then right, Johnny.
Yeah, we've still got our Flyer Club Valentine's offer on, so you can save 25% on the monthly and annual club memberships if you go to flyer.co.uk/membership and use the code Valentine25. Vouchers for March, we've got some great ones coming up, spread all around the country or countries. Easter, obviously at the top, Rough East just outside York, Spanhoe and Wickham. So you can get access to those on the 1st of, probably on the 28th of February. Currently, we've still got Eschot, Deanthorpe, Croslandmoor and Longside for you to use in February. And on the 25th, next Tuesday, we've got Ed Bellamy on for a webinar talking about piston engine icing, which will be a very interesting one. So come along to that, and you can still catch up on all of the past over a year's worth now, including Simon's weather webinar and Greener's forced landing webinar. So yeah, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Who did the map? Easter appears at Wick.
See, I don't do this anymore. So this.
Who does do the map? Who is going back to map school?
I don't know. But whoever it is should probably take a look at where York is as well.
I feel she may be in the comments.
Oh no, it's not. It's not Annabelle.
Oh no, have I wronged Annabelle? Oh dear.
That's it now.
There we go. I'll have a word with the map man. Oh dear.
Yeah. Right. Should we bring Darren on?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go, Darren.
Roll him in.
Roll Darren. Let's move Darren over there.
There we go. A giant Darren.
Darren, how are you doing?
Good. Just enjoying these fantastic production values from the green room.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to lift them. Earlier this week, we got together and started making a video, which is going to be out at some stage before too long, on the Manchester, not on the death of the low-level route and the birth of the Northwest Transit corridor, not passage. We came in and recorded you giving us your wisdom down at Global ATS, one of the only two licensed training providers for ATCOs in the UK. So watch out for that video. So as you're here, and you've no doubt studied the Northwest Transit corridor, perhaps you could give us a bit of a rundown. What is it? How does it work? What's different? Is it better? Is it worse?
It's a great big simplification exercise, really. It was originally Class D airspace, which came with a load of Class D restrictions and some rules and procedures that we had to follow, complicated a little bit by the whole SERA process a few years back. And obviously there were a number of infringements, or a big number of infringements, because people were using the wrong scope when they were going down it, having issues, and was pretty tight, 1,300 feet, pretty congested area, certainly in the northern half of that now. So the consultation happened, I think, back at the end of, it was a good few years ago now, isn't it? And the decision was made. And the simplification really is about the classification of airspace. As of midnight last night, it changed from Class D to Class G airspace. And I managed to update my SkyDemon chart earlier on, And there we go. The new one on the left, the old one on the right. Class G it is. On the plus side, we've got an extra couple of 100 feet to play with. It's gone up from 1,300 to 1,500 feet now. But there are some additional rules associated with it. It's a restricted area, so it's been defined as a restricted area to apply those rules. And they're actually very similar to what used to happen in Class D anyway. 140 knots indicated airspeed. So I'm okay in the Cub, might struggle a bit in the RV. And 5 kilometers in flight visibility, in flight being the key there. It's you as the pilot that determines that 5K visibility. That said, the METAR at Manchester and the METAR at Liverpool pretty good idea of what you're likely to encounter there. Can't use it if you're more than 40 tons, so I'm sure that doesn't apply to most of us here. But it should actually make the process a little bit simpler, and certainly simpler from an ATC perspective. I spoke to some guys I know up at Manchester, and they certainly think there'll be fewer infringements and a little bit simpler from their perspective.
So I'm kind of a little bit fascinated by a point that is of no relevance to any of us, so it's just a bit of a waste of time, really. But I kind of wonder how they came up with the 40-ton figure. Whether there's a specific aircraft they went, well, we're going to stop old Smokey coming through. That's 40.1 tons or something.
The only thing that I can see that corresponds to is the weight turbulence categories. We have a 40-ton weight turbulence category in the UK for small and stuff like that. But yeah, it does seem a bit random. I guess the biggest thing you're likely to see whizzing through there at low level might be sort of Chinooks, around about 22, 23 tons, things like that. So I don't know, maybe they've picked an arbitrary figure or an arbitrary aircraft type above that they wanted to occasionally get through from time to time.
Checked on the Lancaster. The Lancaster has 72,000 pounds, which is, I don't know, 32 tons or something. When it's because it's max takeoff weight they're taking, not actual weight.
Yeah, I'm sure the Lancaster doesn't operate at those sort of weights very much these days. But maybe that's maybe that was one of the reasons. It would be very useful for the BBMF transiting up and down the country, I'm sure.
Andy Archer says, "Is there a minimum speed limit?"
Well, as a Cub driver based in Gloucester, it's an overnight stop for me to transit the damn thing in the first place. So I'm guessing not. I don't think that will be too much of an issue. The visibility, I guess, the 5K visibility is probably the tricky one. Although, again, even though I'm a Cub pilot, I'm pretty scared when it comes to that sort of stuff. I'd rather have another cup of tea if the viz is less than 5 kilometers than try and bimble along through airspace that I wasn't overly familiar with. But I've transited it a couple of times, although I've got to be honest, when I've transited that part of airspace in the past, I've tended to just get a clearance through Liverpool at a sensible level rather than puddle jumping down at low level. But I remember you could sort of hop between the motorways, really. If you could see one motorway to the next, you probably got about 5 miles, I guess, visibility. I mean, the thing's only 20 miles long in the first place, so it shouldn't really be too tricky to spot the motorways and work your way down there without too much difficulty.
I always struggle to spot the junction with the motorway, which is one of the visual reporting points. I always trouble to spot those. I struggle with that until I get almost on top of it. But there you go.
Well, I mean, we've all got SkyDemon now anyway, or most of us have. Other systems are available, I suppose I have to say that. But it's pretty difficult to lose yourself these days, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, SkyDemon, just for the number geeks out there, 5K viz is 5K is, I think, 2.7 nautical miles. And you can add like a vector to the front of your airplane on SkyDemon, and that you get 2 choices, either a time thing or a distance thing. And the distance thing is 2, 5, and 10. So you can kind of look at it and sort of guess that you can see the difference between 2 and 5. You can guess what 2.7 is. But frankly, I suspect that the in-flight visibility for most people is going to be 5,000 meters as they're going up.
I think so, and it's a little bit wider on the southern half of it as well, south of the M56. There's about 2/3 of a mile further to the east. There's a little bit more sky to play with in there as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's quite a number of strips up and around there, actually.
Paul Cadell's got an interesting note there. He said it's not mentioned, but I clarified with the CAA team that can still fly below 1,000 feet over congested areas too, i.e. RS 1496 still applies to this notified procedure.
Wow.
Again, got to be honest, it's a while since I've been up there, but it was pretty congested when I flew it, and didn't think there were many places to go if it all went quiet at the front.
Yeah. An interesting question. Dan Smith says, "Does everyone stay on the right? So northbound it's towards the eastern side, and southbound it's closer to the western side, to minimise reciprocal aircraft. Not that we have to. Just thought it wise." We did. We were actually discussing this before we went live, weren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it's not a bad idea, really, to drive on the left, as it were.
That's driving on the right, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. No, there are no published procedures to that effect. I mean, ultimately, it's VFR at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dave had a good question earlier, which is, okay, so say, for example, you're bimbling up there in your airplane, and you look and you go, you know what? I'm not really sure it is 5,000 meters here. It might be 4,000 meters or less. I'm sure it's not 5,000. What do you do? Because you can't call up Manchester or Liverpool and get a clearance through the Class G airspace, because you don't need a clearance through it, and the visibility is lower than the restricted area condition for you to be able to go in. So effectively, the Northwest Transit Corridor is then closed to you, but neither could you get a special VFR clearance through the CTA, which is above it.
Yeah, so immediately above the corridor now is a CTA control area. And technically, special VFR clearance is only applying control zones that extend from the surface upwards. For obvious reasons, you've got to see and avoid and navigate your way by reference to the ground. So if you're going above it into a CTA, that wouldn't necessarily be particularly easy. So your option then is to request a special VFR clearance from, well, Manchester, but realistically more likely you get one from Liverpool through the CTR, through the control zone element that's again shown on the chart. For Manchester in particular, when you think about it, it's all going to be IFR movements into Manchester, and the requirement on ATC at the moment is to separate IFR and special VFR aircraft, and you can't easily predict where a special VFR aircraft is going to route, so you have to apply vertical restriction, and that's 1,000 feet from a separation perspective. So there isn't a lot of airspace underneath there to accommodate special VFR and IFR aircraft, which, as I say, have to be separated at this moment in time. Probably got a better chance getting through Liverpool, which is a little bit quieter, and certainly I've always transited on the Liverpool side without any problems through the higher airspace.
As Nigel Hitchman says, if you're happy with the viz, carry on. If you're not, go somewhere else.
Well, that's the other option, of course. And yeah, I'm too much of a coward to mill about in 4,000 meters visibility. I'll land somewhere, have a cup of tea.
Well, there's I'm not going to go there, because last time I went there, it got me in trouble. So I'm definitely not what I was about to say. Yeah, good. I guess it's probably time. We should probably just show, although we've shown you the SkyDemon, the old and new on SkyDemon, we can show you what the Civil Aviation Authority official Nazi type thing, what they think, not Nazi, Nazi.
Staying out of trouble on the one hand, on the other.
Just to clarify, Darren, there's that obvious little segment in the south part of the Manchester low-level route on that CAA chart on the NOTAM. Why do you think? I mean, they've made it slightly wider at the southern end, but then it goes narrow. Appears to go narrow at the halfway through. What's going on there?
I think this relates to ongoing airspace change proposals that Manchester and Liverpool are working on themselves. and obviously these sort of things are ongoing all the time, looking at the way the airspace is managed. So we might even see further changes, further airspace made available to us if that situation changes. But I think, again, I'm sure I may have read somewhere that there was an ongoing change related to Manchester's airspace, so we couldn't change this bit for the time being.
But I mean, to be honest, that bit up there, Dave, if you look at it, that bit around Barton, that starts at 2,000 feet. So effectively, the corridor ends there because you can climb another 500 feet if you want to in there anyway. So even if you widened it there, it would give you no advantage really, because you can just go up anyway. If you know what I mean.
Yes, I do understand that, but it just looks a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess they probably could have taken away that acute angle at the bottom of it. You kind of wonder what that acute angle might be doing, but it might be something to do with the Streatham microlight site. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, ultimately, it is a bit of a positive step in the right direction, and we should be grateful for that, really. We don't often always come out on the best side of airspace change proposals, so yeah, it's going to be a positive thing.
I think I've just found someone in the comments who is affected by this. Not that I don't think she has a DC-6 to fly, but Kath Burnham says, we used to use it in the DC-6, and obviously this is an aeroplane that falls foul of the 40-ton limit, because that is a I think I'm right in saying, Kath, that's a 48-ton aeroplane when it's fully laden. So yeah, if you've got a DC-6, don't go flying through there now.
Yeah, both the DC-6s are chopped up in bits down at St Athan now these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Although one of them is for sale. You can buy the whole thing and put it back together.
Oh, okay.
Can everyone in the comments take the opportunity to write persuasive and supportive words? Because we'd love to get Kath Burnham along to talk about her flying and DC-3 flying and all sorts of stuff.
Definitely.
And so could everyone persuade Kath? Come on, Kath. You know you want to. It'd be really good. So come and talk to us about your great flying. Is there any other questions in the comments related to the Northwest Transit?
Obviously, I picked up Andy Archer's comment about minimum speed, but as he points out, he said, I've only flagged that because as it's been made Class G, slower motorized aircraft will be able to use it, i.e. paramotors. So it's like a case of be prepared to encounter them in a gaggle doing 20 knots. So
very valid point.
Yeah.
Very valid point. And just a little bit scary.
It might overtake me in the Cub.
Yeah.
Wash and polish as you go by.
Yeah. Good. Well, if there are no other questions, I think it's probably time to turn to our slightly clickbaity heading, which is come on then, Darren. Let's take advantage of your years of ATC on the job stuff and later training stuff and your experience, particularly with the GA world, and tell us what are I mean, we all want to get better. What are the things that we regularly get wrong, and how could we easily improve them?
Am I allowed to have a rant now? Can I just go for it?
You can channel your inner Ian.
Of course you can, but don't forget, just like air traffic, I've got this mute button here that I can silence you. Go for it. Rant away.
Well, look, first and foremost, I consider myself to be a professional air trafficker and an amateur pilot. And I fully realise and understand that most of us fly recreationally for fun, for GA, and we don't necessarily, might aspire to them, but might not necessarily be able to achieve those professional standards that I've been used to operationally in my operational career. And I've not controlled now for 7 or 8 years, but during that last 7 or 8 years, I still do instruct and examine at the Air Traffic College, as you said, down at Global ATS at Gloucester. Still very much involved in that at least a couple of days a week. And first and foremost, controllers aren't perfect either. And I've had bad controlling from controllers in the past. But having worked predominantly at Gloucester, obviously, prior to that, I've had a lot more bad pilots who've done things wrong. Ultimately, we're both looking for the same thing. None of us wants to have paperwork to deal with. None of us wants to have problems to resolve. And I think of air traffic as this free service that we get, and very much else we get free in aviation, just by being able to use this slightly technical language and a set of standard words and phrases. And without doubt, it's RT, it's the problems associated with RT that give controllers the biggest headaches. So many unnecessary words, so much said that just doesn't need to be said at a time when you're just about to do something else really important, and somebody chirps up with their life story. Really simple things. This is, we are, is with you. All these types of additional words and things that everybody just normally adds into the conversation just take up so much time. Currently, I'm currently. Currents go in cakes. They don't go in Cat 413. Just really, really simple things like that. I'm fully ready for departure, as opposed to what? Not ready at all. Just unnecessary wordy stuff that just gets in the way. And the reason that's a problem from an ATC point of view is because it's not the sky that's full of airplanes. It's the RT time. It's the airwaves that just get clogged up. And I've been giving a presentation to various clubs and schools for years, and I actually locked myself away in the tape room at Gloucester and listened to one of our busy days and worked out the amount of time we spent saying unnecessary things. And I managed to look at a transmission, take about 5 seconds worth of a taxi clearance out, multiply it by the number of movements that we had that year, and we could have taken 24 hours of unnecessary chatter out of off the RT. And it's really not difficult. When I learned my RT back at Southend in 1991 or something, one of my controller colleagues, who's still actually instructing, believe it or not, set up a little simulator for us to pretend to be pilots and air traffic controllers, and I passed my RT certificate of test. And I was given a list of about 30 words and phrases, and miraculously, that list of 30 words and phrases is still pretty much the same. And I had to learn them verbatim, absolutely verbatim, all of the definitions, and they are still the same. And if you learn that list of 30 words and phrases, that will cover a good 80-90% of every transmission you need to make from an RT perspective. So keeping it precise and concise to those is the key to it, without a shadow of a doubt. I've listened to people wasting money trying to talk to me in a slightly technical language, using all of their brain power when they're paying to learn to fly an airplane. And you don't need to wait until you're in the airplane to practice your RT. Do it when you're in the bath or drive into the airfield, whatever it is. Just get those words and phrases nailed, and you'll be able to talk as you would in a normal conversation, but with the same degree of confidence. On the flip side of my little sheet of paper with my 30 words and phrases, with a list of mandatory readback items. Oh, good, there it is. And flip it over, it's got the dozen readback items that controllers are gonna bug you for. And if you don't read them back, they're going to ask you to say again. It's not because we're bullshit buggers who like to make you feel belittled. It's because the rules say we have to obtain a readback of those pieces of information. And when you think about it, it's all the obvious stuff. Any taxi clearance, anything associated with a runway, any movement on a runway, any crossing of a runway, backtracking of a runway. Clearances, route clearances, things like that. Any clearance that we've given, you need to read back. Transponder stuff. If you're given a squawk, you need to read it back. Frequency changes. If you're given a frequency change, you need to read that back. And then pretty much the numbers, levels, headings, speeds, all that type of stuff. Occasionally, those are the things that you need to work on. And combining knowing those words and phrases with the list of readback items will be enough to keep most controllers happy. On the flying side of things, I learned way more about controlling by learning to fly. I got my PPL about 2 years after I've been controlling, and I found it completely and totally enlightening. It just made the whole process of controlling so much easier because I understood what pilots needed at the other end of the microphone. Sadly, that doesn't happen in the training anymore. There used to be a requirement many years ago for controllers to do a full PPL. It gradually got reduced, but now there's no mandatory element to that. It's something we did in the past at Global ATS. They used to have a trial lesson at least, and certainly if I get involved in the aircraft training side of things, I'll take them and sit them in the airplane and have a play around the prod and poke. So controllers who do fly or have some flying experience, they definitely make better controllers. Just understand what's at the other end of the microphone. Likewise, pilots can benefit from nipping up to the tower, take cakes and single malt whiskies. You're guaranteed a visit if you turn up with those, and just see who's there at the other end of the microphone. It makes things so much easier if you both know what each other wants, really.
So no extraneous words.
No extraneous words, standard words and phrases, the mandatory readback items, and then I suppose the third thing is the compliance side of stuff. People get miffed when they get told to remain outside controlled airspace on first contact. There's a reason for that. Again, it's not controllers being bolshy. The rules say that if we can't clear you into the airspace straight away, we need to tell you to remain outside controlled airspace. That in itself is a sort of a clearance, albeit a lack of a clearance. So again, should be read back. And the expectation that you won't blunder in until such time as you've managed to get on and get everything done. The two most infrequently used words on my list of 31 words and phrases are say again and unable. And I promise you, a controller would much rather be asked to say again a dozen times and you get it right than you think, I think that's what he said, and go and do something wrong. And I've seen so many instant reports whereby exactly that's happened. The controller or the pilot assumed this is what the controller meant and went off and did that without clarification. And the other one, almost certainly the least frequently used word in my list and in CAPFOL 1.3 is unable. If you can't comply with what you've been told or what you've been asked to do, what you've been given, let the controller know. Use the word unable, and it's the controller's job then to come up with something different that works and facilitates, what you need. And that's pretty much it, really. Listening squawks. Had a chat with a few colleagues in the industry. Listening squawks, clues in the name. A lot of my colleagues around the country, people that I've trained, get really miffed when somebody calls up to tell them that they're on their listening squawk. Oh, we're just on your listening squawk. Clues in the name. They don't need to call if you're on a listening squawk. Personally, not a big fan of listening squawks. Nobody's got the full picture of what's going on if everybody's on that, but some units do consider them to be beneficial for avoiding infringements.
What was that? What's the name of that sherry that used to advertise at Christmas? Something cream sherry. What was it?
Harvey's other Airfield cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I've got to sort of fight the corner for air traffic in some respects. Some units do have a reputation for refusing transits or being difficult to transit. And there are some justifiable reasons for that. There's a huge shortage and a big backlog of training in the industry. Did an FOI request a few months back, looking at the number of controllers that were in the UK. I think it was 1,751 at the end of November, less than 2,000. Followed that up in the new year, we're looking at the number of student controllers, so people who've passed their rating courses at the college but are waiting for unit training. That was 205. So still under 2,000 people, big backlog. A lot of people of my age who've given up air traffic operationally and have retired from the industry. More of that to come in the next few years. So big shortages means that units are struggling to meet their capacity, and obviously the Gloucester situation is very much to the fore from my perspective for that. Desperately short of controllers, big backlog of training, and that explains to some extent why you might not always get the clearance. That said, and I'd encourage everybody to do this, if you get refused, fill in the form. Go on the CA website, get the denial of transit form. Can't remember the number now. Ed will have a link somewhere, I'm sure. But if you don't get a clearance through, report it. It's vital that you do. The controllers that are trained in their final exams, they will have VFR transits when they're doing radar training, and in their final exams in the tower controllers, they'll have traffic in the circuit. So they're trained to be capable of dealing with that type of VFR traffic, and there isn't always a reason why they should refuse it.
It's tricky.
There's a question. Mike Roberts says, any advice for a solo student? He said, I picked up the flying rather quickly, but total word vomit. What happens when I press the button?
It was exactly the same for me. First aeroplane I ever spoke to was Golf Alpha Tango Tango Kilo, joining left base for runway 24 at Southend. It was so long ago, it's runway 23 now. The Earth's moved. But I remember being absolutely petrified of pressing the foot switch and saying that. But if you can learn those standard words and phrases, those 30 words and those dozen readback items, so that they flow instinctively, fire off your fingertips the moment you need to make a transmission, just like I'm having this conversation now, you save yourself so much time and hassle. It's only a very slightly technical language, and for most of the viewers, it's in our native tongue. So there really is no excuse for getting your RT absolutely nailed before you get into the aircraft. And have a practice, have a think about what you're going to say, what you're going to ask for. Cut out all the unnecessaries. When you're giving your pass your message, and we don't need to know about all the turning points you've been through in the last half an hour. We just want to know where you are and where you're going next, and how that's going to affect us. Keep it simple. Keep it really, really simple. And if the controller needs more information, they'll ask you for it.
Very good. Chris Boyle makes a good note. VATSIM is also very good for practice. Other SIM networks are available.
On the subject...
go on.
Sorry,
Johnny.
No, sorry. I'll let you continue with that one, and then I'll go back to...
I do know a couple of controllers who go on VATSIM. For anybody who doesn't know, it's a network of ATC simulators, people pretending to be controllers on an online network. I found that quite bizarre, that you'd end your days controlling to go home and do controlling again, really, which is a bit odd. But the guy who did Gloucester, and he used to do Gloucester on, I think, on a Tuesday and a Friday evening, was really good, absolutely fantastic, to the point where back in my day at Gloucester, we actually put him on the distribution list for most of our documentation. Some of it had to be redacted, but he had the actual current information so that he could provide the service in the most efficient way. And I gather it's really popular.
There's a virtual flying for Oshkosh the week before Oshkosh, and Oshkosh controllers actually do it.
Excellent.
So going back to what you were saying about not wanting to know where the past few turning points that you've done, Nigel Hitchman makes a point. He's saying, agreeing with too much speak, but why do ATC ask for point of departure and destination when you're crossing Class D nowhere near to either? So you've come from a farm strip in Northumberland and you're going to a farm strip in Devon. Why would East Midlands want to know that? And would they do anything with that information?
Only if you crash. You get a free service. You get 2 free services with an air traffic control service. If you receive an air traffic control service, you get a free flight information service, and you get a free alerting service. And the alerting service obligation is, if it all goes quiet, we lose communication with you, we need to be in a position to track and trace where you've come from, where you were going to. So if you ended up in a pile of smoke and wreckage in the field somewhere, we'll have a decent chance of tracking you down. Only applies to air traffic control. You wouldn't necessarily get that from a fire zone. You certainly wouldn't get from an air ground service, radio. That's the other thing as well. Knowing the services, knowing which ones are controlled, which ones are advisory, and which ones are, just a radio service. But it's purely about alerting service, search and rescue. The way that East Midlands and some other places that have electronic flight progress strips, so rather than writing things down on bits of paper like we used to at Gloucester, and quite a few airfields still do, type the information in digitally to a screen, and almost pull down menus that can select airfields, even private sites and other bits and pieces, just to get the full picture of what goes on. But purely about alerting service.
I think I know the answer to this one. Mark Albury says, do you prefer airfield names or ICAO codes?
I'm much happier with airfield names. But what I really don't like is, I've come from Wickham Air Park, Echo Golf Tango Bravo. Yeah, I know. So one or the other. Not going to lose any sleep over either, really. But personally, it was always airfield names for me.
And Crispin Horsfield asks an interesting question. Is live ATC available over the internet in the UK, or is that only an American thing?
No, sadly it's not. The Wireless Telegraphy Act, originally of 1949, prevented anybody from intercepting transmissions not meant for them. It was updated in 2015, I think, or relatively recently, and they've still effectively applied the same restrictions. There are a couple of workarounds for various things, but they've lumped all of the ATC in with listening to police frequencies and all that type of stuff, and they're trying to stop the bad guys listening into all this stuff. But we miss a real opportunity there in the UK, not being able to listen in, not be able to hear that playback. The likelihood of you being prosecuted is pretty damn slim, and I'd certainly recommend leaving the airband on in the flying club when you're listening to everybody else going around the circuit, just to think what they're doing wrong and what you do differently, really.
Yeah, given the amount of ATC on that gets recorded on YouTube. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, I've not seen very many of the resources out there, but I'm sure there are plenty available. And you can wheel me out to your flying club or whatever, chuck a donation in for Fly to Help, and I'll turn up and bore you all to tears from my soapbox if you need me to turn up. Oh, and incidentally, if I say the word equinox tonight, somebody's going to donate 30 quid to Fly to Help. So there you go, Dan, 30 quid. Thanks very much.
Very good.
Jolly good. Well, I think it's time to say a huge thank you to our air traffic control expert, Darren Lewington. Darren, thank you. It's been a genuine pleasure. I look forward, when the weather's better, we can finish that video. I think we should jump in the airplane and go for a cup of tea at Barton. We can experience dodging the paramotors and all the rest of it on our way up to make the other video. So it's been absolutely brilliant. And maybe there's a whole bunch more ATC stuff we can do together throughout the year, like exploring the idiosyncrasies and subtleties that exist in some of the bits of controlled airspace.
Oh, you're more than welcome to come down to the college and see what the controllers train through. Maybe even get you in the simulator and have a go. It's good.
It's scary, isn't it? Very scary. Anyway, thank you very much for that. It's time for us to go to Fantasy Hangar. So thank you.
Sorry, I cut you short just a little tiny bit there. So
it's okay.
So yeah, Fancy Hangar, after hearing about the Dream Aviators house for sale in the UK, that made us go, hey, I bet there's some other places that are for sale where you can live with your aeroplane. So we went looking. Who's first?
It's me. I'm up first, it would appear, this week. And rather than 1.5 million for East Sussex, I went for something that's $1.225 million, which is about 970K or something. And it's this rather splendid house on Lake Seymour, Alaska. I mean, look at that.
Nice.
So you've got a hangar big enough for your seaplane and an actual seaplane lake.
And an actual seaplane lake. It's an official seaplane lake as well. It's about an hour and a half's drive from Anchorage. So it's not like it's, I've got this great house, but it's in the middle of nowhere. Well, in the sort of half middle of nowhere, I guess. But it looks absolutely fantastic, stunning. You wouldn't really get eaten to death by midges on that balcony at all, I'm sure.
Why is it on stilts? Why is it on stilts?
I think it's just for a good view, because if the water level went up that much, I think pretty much most of everything's going to be gone, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there has to be a reason for the stilts.
No,
I think it's all about the grand view, isn't it? And if you lived on a lake like that, who wouldn't want a great view?
Yeah, keeps the bears out as well.
There you go.
There we go.
Good one. So there you go. Ian for the win. Are there any events this week, and then we can go?
No, I know other people have got good choices. Johnny, what have you got?
I've gone a bit wild. I've gone for one on an air park in just outside Phoenix, Arizona, which is going to be a great place to fly because it's very. Oh, sorry, it's it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's loads of good scenery nearby, but this is. Let me just read the data. It's over 2 acres. It's 16,000 square feet of interior living space, 11 bedrooms. 11 bathrooms. Apparently, and three bedrooms, which is wild.
Wow.
It's got about 20,000 foot hangar. It's all climate controlled. It's got direct access to the hard runway. It's designed around the idea of a old Spanish, I think they're called the Misiones, which is, I don't know what that is or what that means, but I've basically it's huge. It's got 16-inch thick walls. That's on one of the first bits of the brochure. 16-inch thick walls, apparently good for efficiency.
Yeah.
But yeah, basketball court. It's got a golf simulator. It's got an indoor shooting range. It's got everything. Really.
I think for me, just the fact that you can be stood in the kitchen and
see your airplane.
You can see the airplane in the hangar.
Yeah,
I love that. Dave, you're going to have something really good to beat Johnny's.
Get a price.
Something absolutely splendid. This is in Italy.
Hang on. John, did we get a price, or did I miss the price?
Yeah, it was 19.5 million.
Look, this is fancy.
Moving on.
So mine will smash it out the window, I'm afraid. Sorry. It's Monteverdi Marittimo, Tuscany, in Italy. The advertising says, impressive large estate with private airstrip and golf course. It's located in the heart of what's called the Val di Cecina. I think I said that right. With breathtaking views of Tuscan hills close to the sea and a few kilometres from the centre of the small and charming village of Monteverdi Marittimo. It's got a 1,000-metre long runway. There it is in the middle of the field. Hangar for 2 aircraft. A main house of approximately 1,500 square metres. 1,500 square metres is huge, absolutely huge. It's also got a spare farmhouse, a former mill, and a 36-hole golf course, restaurant, and service centre and hunting reserve. It does come with a hefty price tag, which is the cost of the whole of the UK. All of the money in the UK. Sorry,
3 pence.
Well, yeah, either that or the NHS bill. Yeah.
So how much is it then?
I don't know. So we can give a price.
Okay.
If you have to ask.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Well, luckily, I know this is fancy hangar, but we all dream of things that you go, could I really afford that? And I think with my choice, that is definitely the case. I'm not going to tell you how much this is. I'd like you to guess. Put your guesses in the comments while I give you the details on this, because I found this little beauty. It's a gem in California. It's called Aviator's Paradise. It's Elk Creek in California. It's a ranch house. It's 21 acres at the base of the Mendocino National Forest, and they describe it as not just a ranch; it's a lifestyle. The house is small. It's just 1,780 square feet. It's 3 bed, 2 baths, perfect for comfortable living, they say. The airstrip is 2,000 feet by 100 feet wide. It's got a designator. It's 90 CL. It's Diamond M Ranch Airport. There's a 2,700 square foot hangar and a garage for vehicles, toys, and gear. How much do you think you would have to pay for such a beautiful little place in California? I'm gonna leave comments to percolate on that while I go through and look at who thinks who should win. And I've got to say, they're all amazing choices. I would live in any one of those. I'd probably get lost in Johnny's house. So what have we got? So there's a lot of comments about Ian's grey house. That's very grey. It was very grey. Strong entry from Dave. That's more like it, Dave. Nothing but class, Dave. What else we got? Very strong from Dave. And we're getting some guesses. Steve Baker says 1.5 mil for mine. Kevin Siggery says 2 million, 1.6. Max, you're in a bit lower, 500,000. 450, 1.5, 1.25, 500. Mark Albury would probably be a good one to guess. Ed wins. Ed or Ian wins. Dave wins. 4 Bitcoin. No idea what that means. Ed wins. I can tell you that. So my house in California is $610,000, which that seems like just a fantastic thing. So,
this is fantasy hangar.
I know, but sometimes I love the fact that you go, well, for me, living on my own on a site with my own runway. If I'm not in fancy world and I'm in reality world, you go, actually, that is something that isn't. That's an achievable fantasy, isn't it? So
It is. I have to say, after seeing everyone else's choices there, if I had to pick one, I'd pick Dave's. I think the idea of that in Tuscany.
Of course you would. And it's in Italy. It's civilized. Sorry,
there is a lot of strong. There's a lot of love for Dave's. Nigel Hitchman remembers that there's a really lovely place called Upper Harford in the UK. I don't think it's for sale at the moment. I was going to go for Ian's one, said Jane, but then equal was Ed's. Ed wins if he paints. Ian, if he paints it.
I'm not painting it myself, that's for sure.
Ed wins. That's a big house to paint. So, and Dave wins. Oh, Mark Albury, warning, wildfire, country Ed.
Yeah.
So it's $650,000 a year, every year, probably.
Yeah, Dave wins, really. It's a win for Dave, and a very worthy winner, though I do like the idea of Johnny's house where I can stare at the aeroplane.
Right, we're 10 minutes over time here at this moment.
Yeah, that's been a good
show. Their supper.
Yeah.
Yes. Events. So this weekend, Shuttleworth are having an open engineering weekend. That's Saturday and Sunday. There's a fly-in at Wickenby called the Winter Warmer Fly-in. Not really sure that's going to go ahead because of the weather. Skills Fade Workshop is an online event on the 26th of February. That's run by Astral Consulting. And on the 1st of March, looking a bit further ahead, 1st of March, the Pancake Flying at Slape.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you very much. It just falls to me to say thank you very much, team. Thank you very much, everyone out there, for watching. If you like this, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. But subscribe. That's really good for us. And just to say thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday if you're a member. If you're not, why not? And next Thursday, if not. Have a good weekend flying, presumably on Saturday, because Sunday is looking pants. Have a good one.
If you're watching in the comments, tell us which house. Tell us your fancy hangar winner in the catch-up comments. We'd like to hear more from you. So
absolutely. Thank you very much,
everybody.
Hello, this video is sponsored by us, the Fly Club. And if you're not a member already, we'd love for you to join.
Members get access to all of our content, our free landing fees every month, exclusive webinars, and much, much more.
It costs just £5 per month to become a member, so head on over to flyer.co.uk/membership or click the link in the description below.
It's a proper good deal.
It's a bargain.